Welcome, everybody, to episode 9 of the DENSI podcast. Now, we have 3 panelists on the line today, including a very special in-house guest, or in-studio guest. Laura Murphy has made her way across the street to come join us today. My name is Brandon Waslocki, your Summer Institute podcast host, and let's see who else we got out there. Starting with you, Laura, if you can just let us know who you are, where you're from, what you do, and how many times you've been to Summer Institute.
My name is Laura Murphy, and I work across the street, like Brandon said, as the computer teacher at an elementary school. I've been to Summer Institute for 3 years, and was that it? I feel like there were like 5 questions, but I only remember 2 things.
Good enough. Good enough. All right, Howard, let's jump it over to you.
I am Howard. Howard Martin. I am in Austin, Texas, and I guess the role that I play is instructional technology facilitator. So I work with about a fifth of a district of 85,000 kids. So we work with our schools. I get to do a lot of the integration help and innovative work, or innovative integration. I like that one. But yes, I do whatever we can to get out there. Been with the DEN for a long time. One of the very beginning DENLC members. So I did get to go on we're supposed to call it the learning excursion, the floating excursion. It was a cruise. But yeah, I've done that one. Montana, Boston, Silver Spring, something else. I can't remember. So, and I just turned into a button, I think.
Nope, you're good.
I'm good. Okay. So I think 4.5, something like that, and some different little trips out to Silver Spring to see people. So it's basically, this is my yearly professional development for myself. This is the thing that I choose above all things to make sure that I try to get to go to.
All right. Thank you, Howard. Chris, let's jump it over to you.
All right. My name's Chris Bendel. I'm out in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I am an educational and assistive technology specialist, which is a mouthful, and that is essentially what I do. I'm at a small special needs school in Rockville called the Ivy Mount School, and I work with 200 kids-ish, and the staff to do technology integration, and then to help support kids who need actual assistive technology. So whether it be AAC devices or adaptive physical devices or so on and so forth. So I wear a lot of hats, and it's actually sort of nice whenever I'm hanging out with the DEN, because I'm with a lot of people who also wear a lot of hats. So it's always very refreshing to me to see that. This is my first DENSI, and I am super stoked for it. I've been in a DEN for about 2 or 3 years. I don't remember. It's maybe 4. I think it's 2 or 3. But I've been to a lot of data discoveries because they're right down the street at Silver Spring, so why wouldn't I go? And actually got to co-present at the DC Denapalooza this year. So I'm really excited to be at DENSI to see what else I can get out of this wonderful group of people.
All right. Well, welcome, Chris. And do you work at the same school as Kate?
I do work at the same school as Kate. Kate works in our Asperger program, and we do a lot of collaboration and support.
All right. For our viewers, Kate was on the podcast last episode. So I think we have now at least 3 groups of people from the same school. So that's pretty cool. All right. Howard, I'm going to start with you on this first question. What has been one big aha or one big takeaway that you can share with Chris and all the newer people that might come to Summer Institute?
Just one?
We'll start with one. And we'll start from there.
I guess, like I said earlier, this is my one big professional development, in that I choose this over, ISTE and all the other things, because it really doesn't matter who the people are in the room, whether they feel like they're technophobes, which there's a few technophobes in this group. Oh, hey!
Hi.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hello.
So, no matter what the people's...
figured out how to make it work.
Uh-oh. I learn from the newbies. I learn from the oldies. Everybody has something to share, and no matter what their level is, the aha moment for me is often everybody benefits, and I just get the biggest kick out of that. I was just sharing something I think last week that I got 3 years ago at a DENSI, or I'm sorry, a DENSI. So yeah, it's the people. It's the people, and everybody has something to share, even if they don't think they do.
All right, thank you, Howard. Tiffany,
Hi.
we're going to kick it over to you real quick. On the line, we have Laura here next to me. We have Chris and Howard as well, and welcome, Tiffany. If you could just tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and the number of times you've been to Summer Institute.
Oh, I'm a newbie. This is my first year at the Summer Institute. I teach 6th and 7th grade science at a high-tech school in Boca Raton, Florida.
All right, cool. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Laura, I'm going to jump back over to you now. Sorry about that, everyone. Laura, what is one of your aha moments from Summer Institute's past? Just one for now.
Well, like I'm with Howard. It's really hard to like pinpoint one thing that I take away. I feel like I take away a bajillion things every time I go to one of them because like, your mind is just blown by something, by some new website or some new tool or some new teaching strategy, and then I just always come back and I try and do one of them, and honestly, I can't. I mean, it's terrible. I can't think of one example, but I know that I think last year I was working a lot with Connie Mulligan, and she was talking a lot about puppetry, and so I tried to do like a green screen puppet show with my kids this year, with my little kids, to try and get them to do the green screen stuff too, because I have my older kids doing projects with that. So I guess that's one example of a takeaway.
Was it easy with the little kids to kind of get them into the green screening, or was it a little bit more difficult?
It was a little difficult. I don't know. I feel like their little minds had a hard time not knowing what was behind them. But, you know, they had so much fun making the stuff and, like, doing the little show that, you know, putting the stuff behind it was kind of like a secondary thing almost. But they still got the experience of it, and then they'll know what it's like when they get to do it when they're older.
There you go. All right, Chris, your turn. Any questions that you have so far about Summer Institute? Questions, concerns, or anything like that?
Well, you know, outside of the usual questions of, oh my God, how am I going to get to sleep at this place? I guess like the one big question or like nervous thing I have is, you know, how do you go to this and just not miss half of the stuff that's happening around you? Like, how do you manage all of the intake from the great stuff that's happening?
Laura, Howard?
Sleep is overrated.
You really don't sleep that much when you're there.
All right, I'll cross that off my list.
Now, there are so many techno people in the group that share in so many different ways that midway through the week you've realized you've already, you know, I mean, you could be like almost here to full, and people start going, well, yeah, but I'm sharing here, and these things are going to be available, and you'll find the DENSI tag on stuff. You do not have to catch everything the first time through. You're going to be making connections. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff, and then you're going to find yourself a month and a half later going, oh, wait a minute. Let me Twitter Brandon and find out what that thing was, because I remember that now. So it's the connections that you carry forward. There's people that I have not seen in 7 or 8 years face to face, and we still connect frequently. So it's the connection, and don't even try to catch it all.
All right, that's great.
All right, Tiffany, going to jump over to you. Any questions or concerns you have going into Summer Institute?
It sounds like I'm going to have a lot to learn. I've never been to DENSI. This is my first time, so I'm excited to learn technology because I work with middle school students and a lot of the lower level students, and technology really engages them. So to learn new programs is really going to help me to help them to learn what they need to know.
I think you'll definitely learn some new programs. Howard, can you recall something like a program, specific program or a specific app or anything like that that you took away from a past Summer Institute?
Absolutely. I think we were in Boston. I think that was 3 years ago. Somebody was in the back of the room. The week was almost over, and somebody just happened to say, "Oh, well, and I use this thing called iPadio." And we're like, oh, what's that? iPatio is a simple website that you can either use your phone to call in or an app on your mobile device or the website, and you can just leave a simple message, a podcast, if you will, and it just sets up the whole page for you. And this teacher said, the thing that I like about it is that I can sit there and teach all day long, and I'm frazzled and everything, and I run out the door. On the way to the car, I call my iPatio number. I leave my message to the students and the parents. By the time I get to the car, I'm hanging up. By the time I've started the car, it's already starting to post. I learned that 3 years ago, and I was sharing that last week with some teachers, and they were like, oh my God, that's so great. It's the little things sometimes that you just kind of hold on to, but that one really just kind of really stuck with me for the ease of podcasting.
All right. Thank you for sharing that resource. Chris, let's talk about your Summer Institute story. How did you first hear about not only the DEN, but about the Summer Institute? What made you want to apply to go to this week-long PD?
So I first heard about the DEN at our statewide Common Ground conference. It's our NSET Common Ground. And Max Brooks was giving a presentation about, it's like 50 ways to use Discovery in your classroom or something. He's got all of these presentations that he always has. And I was actually in a different presentation, and Kate starts texting me at the very beginning of this. And I was excited because Kate had bagels. And I was like, yes, I'm going to get breakfast. This is going to be great. Didn't eat. And that's just like, no, actually, you really need to just stop whatever you're doing, and you need to come to this session right now. So I talked to Max. I saw all the things Discovery could do. And him and the TechBook team really just kept pushing me to be like, hey, you should be a part of the DEN. Hey, you should really apply to DENSI. You're going to get a lot out of it. And I couldn't apply last year. There was just too much on the plate last year. But this year I was like, you know what? Everyone was pushing me last year. They're still pushing me right now. This really must be the place to be this summer. So, thanks to Discovery and all the people at Discovery for pushing me to do this, because I'm super excited for it.
Right, for sure. All right, Laura, your turn. What's your kind of DENSI story or the DEN story for you?
You mean like for my first one?
Yeah, like your first one. What made you want to apply the first time?
I went to a day of Discovery. I think it was in Anaheim or somewhere, and I think I was in a session, and they started talking about it. The person who was leading the session, and I was like, What is this? Someone will pay for me to do fun stuff over the summer and learn things? And it just sounded like too good to be true. And I was like, okay, so I put that on my list of things to look at later. And then even more people in other sessions started talking about it. So it's this word of mouth thing that just keeps growing, and people are just ridiculously excited about it. So then actually that day I applied for it, that day of Discovery. I applied, and I think my first one was Boston, actually.
All right. You got right in there, Laura.
I did. I got right in there. I got very lucky, and I felt ridiculously lucky and I still feel very lucky now. And I still don't know why I'm so privileged to go to this thing, but I'm doing it.
For sure. We're glad to have you. Howard, I'm going to come over to you in a second about Day of Discovery and DENapalooza. But Tiffany, I want to hear about your kind of DENSI story. What made you want to apply, and how did you feel after you got in?
Oh, I was excited. I didn't think I'd get in on because I'm a new person. This will be my first time going. I had gone to the Palm Beach County Technology Conference and talked to a few people there, and everyone was talking about how great the DENSI program is and how much you take away to use in your classroom. So I was excited, and I thought I'd apply, but I didn't think I'd get in, so I was very excited. Well,
there you go. Awesome. Good job. Good job, Tiffany. Way to stick with it and not be too shy to apply. It's really that is as simple as it sounds. That is the first step. You can't get in if you don't.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Howard, let's talk about DENapalooza real quick. DENapalooza is I believe it's a 12-city tour throughout the year. We have one coming up in Anaheim on September 13th. Will you talk about the Austin DENapalooza?
So yeah, we had one. While somebody north of the border pops into our little feed here. What? Hey, Lindsay.
Hello.
So yeah, we did a DENapalooza this year in Austin, and it was basically open to anybody. to come in, and there's this company called Discovery, and they do a real great job of providing some educational resources and online and all that, and that was a great push. But there were so many other things also shared and joined. So we had, I think we ended up with only about 45 people showing up. A couple from out of state flew in and attended as well. And we just had people pulling apart any kind of technology that they could use in their classroom. So people were sharing the board builders. People love the board builder from Discovery, as well as just photography and hints, how to use photography in the classroom. So it was a wide breadth of stuff, but it was just absolutely amazing the way that people just kind of came in and just consumed every little bit of knowledge that was thrown out there with such great enthusiasm. And Discovery made that happen. They provide a lot of that enthusiasm as well.
Right. So Chris and Tiffany, if you've been to a day of Discovery or a Denapalooza, think of that times about 1,000 for Summer Institute.
Okay.
You'll be ready to go. Lindsay Morhart has joined us online. Lindsay, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Tell us where you're from, what you do, and how many times you've been to Summer Institute.
I'm from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And what do? I am a vice principal, and I also teach. And this will be my 3rd Summer Institute.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you on board, Lindsay. We have 5 people kind of mixing all this. It's kind of like a big bucket of soup, Summer Institute, people coming in together and sharing all their resources, as Lindsay would say.
Resources.
All right, we're just about out of time for this episode, but I want to give Chris. Now that Lindsay's here, we're out of time. Chris and Tiffany, I want to kind of give you guys some time here at the end to share anything you want to share or any other questions you have. Then I'll give Laura, Howard, and Lindsay a kind of a closing word. So Chris, let's start with you.
Oh goodness, back on the spot. See, here's that anxiety part. I don't need to be nervous about DENSI. I need to be nervous about right now.
Oh no.
We'll go to someone else first if you want, Chris. We can go to Laura.
Yeah.
All right, Laura. What's your kind of one final thing about Summer Institute for new people that might be watching?
Oh, does it have to be one word?
You can say a couple words.
2 words?
140 characters.
Dang. See, now I lost it too. It's not just you, Chris. Not just you.
See, it's
I've
just.
got a good one.
All right, Lindsay, go ahead.
Do it, Lindsay, please.
Pace yourself.
Oh.
Pace yourself.
Pick my thing is just one thing. That's it. Pick one thing. I always tell people, actually, that's my thing. I remembered it. Yay. The one thing is one thing.
It's hard to remember. One thing. All right, Howard, how about a closing word from you?
People don't believe me, but I'm pretty much very introverted, and for me, this whole thing is new people. The connections you make and people that I wouldn't necessarily go out and hunt down. I've met so many new people and still stay somewhat connected. So, 2 words.
There you go. All right, Tiffany, anything else from you? Kind of closing words or anything you have?
I'm just really looking forward to meeting people and learning some new technology, and I'm excited.
All right. So for any resources you need for Discovery Educator Network Summer Institute, head to densi2014.com. I was talking with Leanne the other day, and she said that it's kind of a shell right now, but eventually everything will be up and running by the time Summer Institute comes around. And for anything else you need, Den, head to dencommunity.com.
Can I have a timeout?
No.
What is on the chair behind you?
Oh, that's from the Den Amazing Race.
Oh.
No.
That's my Den Amazing Race first place.
Howard, ours is way nicer than that. Theirs is just plastic.
We'll just hold that.
No.
So for Chris, Howard, Lindsay, Tiffany, Laura, myself, thank you all for watching, and we hope that everyone has a great time at Summer Institute, and we will see you at the broadcast during the next episode. Have a good night.
Nice to meet you, Chris. Tiffany.
Nice to meet
you, Lindsay. Laura.
Bye.
Oh.
Yay!
Ours is way nicer.
It is way nicer.
I believe you.